नंदना जय ब्रज जन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रज जन रंजना जय यमुना तीरावन चारी जय कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय जगन्नाथाय जय बलदेवाय जय सुभद्रमैया जय हो सुदर्शन जय वामन देव वामन देव जय वामन देव जय गौरांगी बेंगलुरेश्वर जय गौरांगी बेंगलुरेश्वर जय गौरांगी बेंगलुरेश्वर जय गौरांगी जय हो लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जय हो अनंत देव लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय शालिग्राम जय शालिग्राम जय हो शालिग्राम जय निताई चैतन्य जय निताई चैतन्य जय निताई चैतन्य जय गौर हरि जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय हो गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल। नित्य लीला ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। भक्ति प्रदायिनी श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र गोप गोपिका राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई श्री सुदर्शन महाराज की जय। जय श्री श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। जय श्री श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। जय श्री श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री श्री द्वारकाधीश धाम की जय। श्री श्री साकेत अयोध्यापुरी धाम की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai। निताई गौर सितनाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति निष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। So welcome all the devotees in today's Srimad Bhagavatam session, morning session. In this session we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4th, entitled The Creation of the Fourth Order. Under that we are going to read from chapter 14, entitled The Story of King Vena, and shlok number 7 and 8. So let me share my screen. So wherever you are, you can recite it. वीनस्या वीक्ष्यमुनयो दुर्वृत्तस्य विचेष्टितं विमर्श्य लोकव्यसनं कृपयोचुः स्म सत्रिणः। वीनस्यावेक्षय मुनयो दुर्वृत्तस्य विचेष्टितं विमृश्य लोकव्यसनं कृपयोचुः स्मः सत्रिणः वेनस्यावेक्षया मुनयो दुर्वृत्तस्य विचेष्टितं विमृश्य लोकव्यसनं कृपयोचुः स्म सत्रिणः. So synonyms, translation, and the purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Synonyms, Venasya of King Vena, Aviksha after observing Munayaha, all the great sages, Durpratyasya of the great rogue, Vicheshtitam activities, Vimrasya considering, Lok Vyasanam, danger to the people in general, Kripaya, out of compassion, Uchuhu, talked, Sma in the past, Satrina, the performer of sacrifices. Translation. Therefore, all the great sages assembled together and after observing cruel Vena's atrocities, concluded that a great danger and catastrophe was approaching the people of the world. Thus, out of compassion, they began to talk amongst themselves, for they themselves were the performers of the sacrifices. Purport. Before King Vena was enthroned, all the great sages were very much anxious to see the welfare of society. When they saw that King Vena was most irresponsible, cruel, and atrocious, they again begin to think of the welfare of the people. It should be understood that sages, saintly persons, and devotees are not unconcerned with the people's welfare. Ordinary karmis are busy acquiring money for sense gratification, and ordinary jnanis are socially aloof when they speculate on liberation. But actual devotees and saintly persons are always anxious to see how the people can be made happy both materially and spiritually. Therefore, the great sages began to consult one another on how to get out of the dangerous atmosphere created by King Vaina. So now we will read text number 8. अहो उभयतः प्राप्तं लोकस्य व्यसनं महत् दारुण्यो भयतो दीप्ते इव तस्करपालयो अहो उभयतः प्राप्तं लोकस्य व्यसनं महत् दारुण्यो भयतो दीप्ते इव तस्करपालयो अहो उभयतः प्राप्तं लोकस्य व्यसनं महत् दारुण्यो भयतोदीप्ते इव तस्कर पालयो. Synonyms translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaраvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Synonyms aho alas ubhyataha from both directions praptam received lokasya of the people in general vyasanam danger mahat great daruni a log ubhyataha from both sides dipte burning eva like taskara from thieves and rogues palayoha from the king. Translation. When the great sages consulted one another, they saw that the people were in dangerous position from both directions. When a fire blazes on both ends of a log, the ants in the middle are in a very dangerous situation. Similarly, at that time, the people in general were in a dangerous position due to an irresponsible king on one side and thieves and rogues on the other. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितां च नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतुसे नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते जयतां सुरतोपंगोरा मम मंदमते हेरगते मतः सरस्वपादाम्भुजो श्रीराधा मदन मोहनो दिव्याद बृंदरण्य कल्पद्रुमदो श्रीमदरत्नागरा सिंहासनो स्थो श्रीमद्राधा शीलगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठालिभिः सेव्या मनुस्मरामि श्रीमनरासरसारम्भी वांसी वटतट स्थितः कर्शनवेणु स्वनिर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीस्तुनः तप्तकाञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So once again welcome you all in today's morning session of Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4th, 14th chapter, verse number 7 and 8. So, on behalf of ISKCON Seshadripuram, I welcome you all. And with my limited capabilities, would like to discuss these verses. So, once again, we will read the translation of verse number 7. Therefore, all the great sages assembled together and, after observing cruel Vena's atrocities, concluded that a great danger and catastrophe was approaching the people of the world. Thus, out of compassion, they began to talk amongst themselves, for they themselves were the performers of the sacrifices. So, just to give you a background here. I assume that all of you are attending this Srimad Bhagavatam class regularly. But for those of you who haven't gone through previous verses, so just to give a background, this is actually a conversation that is happening between Vidura and Maitreya Rishi. And here, in the earlier chapter, we understood that how the descendants of Dhruv Maharaj were they were following the footstep. And before that, we understood that how Dhruv Maharaj went back to home, back to Godhead, right? So the previous chapter was describing the descendants of Dhruv Maharaj, right? So in that line, the this chapter, earlier to this chapter, we were discussing about the descendants, and in this chapter, the earlier verses were thoroughly dedicated to the King Vena's birth and how, Maharaj Anga, who was the father of King Vena, right? He was in, very depressive state because of he wasn't getting any, heir to reign his kingdom. So, in that background, uh, King Vena's father, right, he actually, uh, performed a sacrifice named as Ashwamedha Yagya, right? And in that yagna, all the demigods were invited to take the oblations, but none of them actually came to accept, right? And this was created a great worry in the heart of all the rishis who were there to, perform that yagna, right? So they were actually in great distress to see that none of the oblations were accepted by, uh, you know, the demigods, right? So generally in those ages, especially in the Satya Yuga, whenever any yagna was performed, right, the presiding deity of that yagna would appear and accept all the oblations, right? So this didn't happen. And because of that, all the sages become very, depressed, and they told King Anga that though we have properly offered all the sacrifice, all the paraphernalia and everything else, but despite all these, the demigods will not accept it, right? And then King actually, the King Anga, right, after hearing all this from the priest and all the sages, he was greatly aggrieved on that particular part, right? And then actually, he actually asked all the, the priest and the sages assembled there that what kind of sin, the offenses that I have committed, that now, none of the demigods actually are taking part in the sacrifices or accepting their shares, right? So, when the sages heard it, and especially the head priest actually, so he told that king, I couldn't see that you have performed any sinful activities in this life, right? With your, mind or your body or any case actually, you were not offensive at all. But now we all can see that in your previous life, you must have performed certain sinful activities. And because of that, instead of having all the qualification, but you are not having any ear or the son, right? So now we actually suggest you that you should actually pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and ask him for a son. And then actually you execute the sacrifices for this purpose, right? And then when Lord is actually satisfied, right, and when he's invited and to this particular yagna, then he can actually fulfill your desire, right? Because Lord, in another sense, is called as Yagya Purusha, right? He is the, the deity of the yagna, right? So he can actually fulfill anyone's desire. And if you are asking for a son, then you should actually please Lord Hari, right? And he is situated in everyone's heart, right? When he can understand that what is your desire, and he can actually fulfill your desire. And we know that how, yagya, from that yagna fire, uh, a divine personality appeared, and he actually was carrying a golden pot filled with you know, uh, the rice boiled in the milk or the payasam, right? And then the queen actually take part of that payasam, and in due course of time, you know, she gave birth to a son, right? And then, after you know, taking birth from the you know, very early age, he was showing the sign of a great catastrophe that is coming on your, was on anvil, right? So he was showing all the symptoms of Rakshasas, Asuras, right? And he was so cruel, right? He used to kill, you know, animals jokingly, right? And people were actually, you know, used to call him that, you know, he's so cruel, right? So they will say that here comes cruel Vena, right? And in the boyhood, he was so cruel that while playing with his friends of his age, right, will kill them mercilessly. And earlier he was killing, you know, the animals, but now, after, you know, getting to a certain age in boyhood, he was so cruel that he would kill his friends and the young boys who were playing with him, and so mercilessly, right? Like he was killing, or you know, slaughtering animals earlier, right? In the same fashion, he would kill the boys as well who were playing with him, right? And after seeing these activities of Vena, the king Anga, you know, used to punish him in different ways so that he can be corrected, right? But somehow or other he failed to do so, right? You know, to make him righteous. And this actually created a great, you know, grief in king's heart, King Anga's heart, right? So king actually used to thought that, you know, persons who have no sons are certainly fortunate. They must have worshipped a Lord in previous lives so that they would not suffer the unbearable unhappiness caused by a bad son, right? So this is a lesson to each one of us who's actually want to have something in the life, because it is better to not have something which is bad, right? So in this way, the king Anga was very disturbed, and he wanted to have his son corrected, but he failed to do so. And in due course of time, after seeing the cruel behavior of his son, right, he used to think in so many ways that how can I actually, you know, make him a righteous person, because this is what parents do when they see that their ward is not you know, going in right direction. They will make all the effort, right, to make you know, their ward righteous. Or in this case, King Anga was trying his best to make him religious, and just to take him away from the irreligious activity, right? But he failed, right? And who actually desire, if you see such a worthless son? Such a son, it is you know, described in previous verses that such a son is nothing but a bond of illusion for the living entity, and he makes one's home miserable, right? And this is what you know, created a great you know, disturbance in king's heart. He thought that a bad son is better than a good son, because a good son creates an attachment for home, whereas a bad son does not. A bad son creates a hellish home from which an intelligent man naturally becomes very easily detached. So it's very important, right? Sometimes we see that we actually, you know, get so many difficulties in life. We get, you know, difficulties in terms of very hard relationships, right? So people around will not behave in the same way as we wanted them to, right? And this creates a great disturbance in our heart when we see that people are not behaving in the fashion in which we want them to, right? So this created this is actually a favorable position for a devotee of the Lord. And this is how a devotee actually takes calamities as the boon of the Lord, right? So even if one falls in such a situation where people or the relatives are not behaving properly or as per their role, or they are going against the religious ways, then it is actually a devotee's thought that he would consider them as blessings of the Lord, because that's actually creates a kind of renunciation in the heart, right? A detachment. And because if your son or if your ward or if your relatives are acting as per your will, then you will get attached to those relatives, right? And if they are not acting as per your will, right, then what happens that we creates a kind of detachment towards them, right? And ultimately, if we create detachment towards worldly relationships and worldly things, then it becomes easier for us to create attachment towards Lord, right? But that is true only for the devotees, okay? It's not true for everyone, because for others who are not on the spiritual path, for them this create disturbance when people are going against their will. But in case of devotees, they take it as blessing of the Lord, and they will think that, yo, since they are not behaving as per my will, as per my desire, let me get detached from it. And this is an opportunity sent by Lord so that I can get detached from these relations. So here King Anga, he got detached from his son and from all the worldly activities for that matter, and he went to the forest. And that actually created a great disturbance in citizens' mind, because he was a good king, right? But somehow or other he failed to correct his son, and then that created a kind of detachment, a disturbance in his heart, and he went to the forest. And Prabhupada clearly explaining here that the sages, right? Because sometimes we may think that it is not the duty of the devotees of the Lord to think about the welfare of the society, right? It's hardly matter who is the king, right? And how he's operating. We should actually concentrate upon our, spiritual progress, rather than we are getting involved in those situations which are political in certain ways, right? So that's why a responsible devotee, right, he acts according to the will of the Lord, and he thinks that the society is actually the responsibility of him as well. It's not that since I am born in a particular society, I born in a particular country, it is my duty to serve the society or the country in a righteous way or in a spiritual way, basically, so that I as a citizen, I, as a member of the society, become a contributor to the society, and for the welfare of the society, whatever is needed, I will do that. So here, Prabhupada is saying that all the great sages, when King Vena was enthroned, right? All the sages were very much anxious because they were knowing that the Vena is so cruel, right? Because from his childhood, he was showing the symptoms of the kind of person he's going to become, right? So, in this way, the sages were very, very anxious about the welfare of the society. And they saw that King Vena was so irresponsible, cruel, atrocious, and they were thinking that how the people can be saved, the citizens can be saved from this king, right? And it should be understood, Prabhupada saying that it should be understood that sages, saintly person, and devotees are not unconcerned. Very important. That they are not unconcerned with the people's welfare, right? So, a devotee doesn't mean that he become indifferent to the problems of the society, right? He is, aware of the problems. At the same times he thinks about that how in my capacity I can solve the problem, rather than thinking about thinking about being selfish, right? So a devotee is never a selfish being. He's always concerned about the welfare of the people around him. He's concerned about the welfare of the people in the society, and overall he is friendly to everyone, right? So it not in the theory he is actually welfare or well wisher of the living entities around him, but in practical aspect also he follows that principle of being well wisher of everyone, right? So many a times, actually, devotees are participating in those activities which may look very, very material in the way, but ultimately their aim is to bring people to the platform where they can actually launch themselves in the spiritual realm, right? Because not everyone it is at the same level, right? And in our Vedas, in our Puranas, Smritis, Upanishads, there are so many verses which are dedicated, to the welfare of the society and the people in general, right? So devotee is never indifferent to the problem of the society. Rather, they pray to the Lord that Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kasyat Toko Bhag Bhavet. So these are the prayers that they are actually, reciting every day, right? Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. They having that everyone should become, the devotees of the Lord, right? And everyone become happy, right? And then only they can think about the spiritual welfare. Otherwise just think about a person who is fighting every day for daily bread, then how can he think about chanting 16 rounds, right? So say until unless one is at a certain level, he cannot actually think about spiritual progress and think about the ultimate aim of life, going back to home, back to Godhead. So that's very difficult. So that's why a devotee always think about bringing people to a platform from where they can launch themselves in the spiritual realm, right? So Prabhupada actually, if you see that one time he wrote a letter to Gandhiji as well, right? Because he was thinking that if the leader of the society you know can be changed, then the followers can be changed easily, right? And that was the intent of Srila Prabhupada writing a letter to Gandhiji. And in that letter Prabhupada mentions that you should actually take to Krishna consciousness, right? And I'm just reading from that letter. So Prabhupada is saying here that now by the grace of God that illusion is going to be cleared, and thus your faithful friends like Acharya Kriplani and others are accusing you for the inability at the present moment to give them any practical program of work as you happen to give them during the your glorious days of non-cooperation movement, right? So you are also in a plight to find out a proper solution for present political tangle created by your opponents. You should therefore take a note of warning from your insignificant friend like me that unless you retire timely from politics and engage yourself 100% in the preaching work of Bhagavad Gita, which is the real function of Mahatmas, you shall have to meet with such inglorious death as Mussolini, Hitler's, Tojo's, Churchill's, or Lloyd George met with. So I just read, just a paragraph of that letter, but the intent is very clear, right? So Prabhupada, as a pure devotee of the Lord, thinking about the ultimate happiness of a soul, right? Because he could see, I mean, this is a kind of prophecy you can see in this particular paragraph, because he's saying here very clearly that until unless you come to the preaching of Bhagavad Gita, you shall have to meet with such inglorious death. And we know that how he died, right? So the devotees of the Lord are very, very, soft hearted, but at the same time, they think about the ultimate, happiness of the soul, right? And this is how the devotees actually acts, that they want to solve the root problem, right? So if we can resolve the root problem, then easily, others problems can be addressed. So I just to give you an example, that one time His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was traveling, and in the transit he was on one airport. I don't remember whether it was Pune or it was Mumbai or Delhi. I don't remember the name of the airport, but it so happened that then environment minister, Mrs. Menka Gandhi, she actually saw that Maharaj was sitting in the same lounge. So she went to the Maharaj, and she asked that, I really appreciate that whatever the work that you are doing for the society, right? That you are, spreading the glories of Sanatan Dharma, right? But that is not solving, the problems of the society, right? And she told Maharaj that though your work is appreciable, right? But I can see that you are doing nothing for the society as such. And I can see that what you have done for the environment of the world, right? Because she was very much concerned about the environment. So she told Maharaj that, I can see that you have no contribution towards the environment or the ecology of the world, right? Then Maharaj replied very nicely that you may think from your perspective that we are not doing for the ecology, per se. But if you see that we are working on the root cause, right? We are changing the ecology of the heart, right? So if we can change the ecology of the heart, and what is the ecology of the heart at the present time? That everyone is so greedy, right? So that's why they are exploiting the mother nature, right? And if we can actually change that mentality, if we can change that heart which is exploitative in nature, then we can change the outer ecology as well, right? So if we can change the inner ecology, or if we can change the ecology of the heart, then we can change the ecology of the world as well, right? And similarly, if we can actually, as a devotee, we are also sometimes tell that, you should participate in election, you should give your vote. Why? Because we are not political in nature, but we want to make sure that whomsoever is going to become the leader of the society, they should follow the shastric injunctions, right? They should follow the scriptures, right? And if the leaders are following the scriptures, then the people in general will follow them, right? And in this way, the whole society can be transformed, right? So this is the ultimate aim, that we want everyone to become happy, right? So how you can become happy? Until unless your ecology of heart is not purified, then you cannot become happy, right? The outer shell is a reflection of the inner cell, right? The inner core, basically, right? So outer shell is reflection of the inner core. So until unless the inner core is purified, right, the outer shell will always going to show the symptoms, right, which are ultimately oozing out of the core, right? So if we are not happy, then somewhere in the core we are not happy, right? Correct. So if our skin is having, a certain disease, right? It is the, the reflection of that some organ is not functioning properly inside, right? And that's why we are having a particular skin disease or any symptoms on the skin for that matter, right? So, Prabhupada, we are coming back to the purport where Prabhupada is saying that karmis are busy acquiring money for sense gratification, and ordinary gyanis are socially aloof when they speculate on liberation. It's very important where Prabhupada is saying now that, but actual devotees, see the word actual devotees and saintly persons are always anxious to see how the people can be made happy, both materially and spiritually. So the devotees are not indifferent to the problems of the society or the people in general. They are always anxious to see that how we can make people happy, right? And Prabhupada further says that therefore the great sages begin to consult one another on how to get out of the dangerous atmosphere created by King Vena. Right. So the crux of this particular verse is that the devotee is always anxious about the well-being of others. Right. So just because of we are, a seeker of a spiritual, happiness, it doesn't mean that we are indifferent to the problems of the society. And in the next verse, I'm just going to read the translation. When the great sages consulted one another, they saw that the people were in dangerous position from both directions. So here they give the example of a log, right? So when the fire blazes on the both ends of a log, the ants in the middle are in a very dangerous situation. Similarly, at that time, the people in general were in a dangerous position due to an irresponsible king on one side and thieves and rogues on the other, right? So when the leader of the society, right, when he is irresponsible, right, and here the king of Vena, he was irresponsible, and because of that the citizens, right, they were in very difficult or in the dangerous situations, right? On the one side he was irresponsible, he was not taking care of the citizens, and on the other side, because when the administration is, is not capable, right, then what happens, that thieves and rogues actually proliferate, right? And in this way, the citizen suffers from the both side. The first is that they are not getting, enough attention from the king or from the leader, and the other side, there are thieves and rogues which are plundering them regularly. So, in this way, the society were in a society was in a dangerous situation when King Vena was ruling. So here we end. So if you have any questions, then I can take one of them. Otherwise, we'll conclude here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danda Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare
Thanks
Krishna.
for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Yeah. Prabhuji, like King Anga like he did a sacrifice. He called demigod didn't come, and so they didn't honor. So he called and they did a sacrifice for Lord Vishnu, and Vishnu had come, and like we arranged that is milk with rice and other things as a prasadam to so that he can have a son. So uh, so to my understanding, that little I'm confused here. That irrespective of Vishnu coming and providing a son, still that son become like this because is it like I can understand that his mother is like daughter of that personified and that everything is right, but still, but Lord Vishnu himself like giving a son and still the son becoming like this. So it's very difficult for me to make it. Please can help me
Yeah, yeah.
understand.
Thank you, Gautam Prabhuji. It's a very nice question. That when Lord Vishnu in form of Yaga Purusha appears and give that prasadam to King Avena and his wife Sunita, then how come you know the prasadam which actually helped the king to beget his beget son, right? So how that person becomes such cruel, right? Like King Avena, right? So this is very important to understand. If we see any person in this world, right, we are all part and parcel of the rod, right? And how why he become because of there are certain facts has been given in the earlier verses, right? If we read the previous chapter, that how the maternal side of King Avena was not proper. He was coming from a Rakshasa background, if you can see, in a way, right? And that's the reason that he become like that. And there are so many other reasons can be given, but I'm just speaking about the reason that has been explained in previous chapter, that how he was connected to bad maternal family, right? And that actually that's why if you read the after verses of that particular verse where it is explained that he's connected with the bad maternal family, right? That when we are actually looking for any groom or uh, for that matter anyone for marriage, then we should think carefully in terms of you know the girl's family, right? But coming back to your question, is important in when we things in terms of he was directly connected to the Lord. So ultimately we are all directly connected to the Lord, right? And we are all act according to our nature, right? We though, because somehow or other if we go in depth of our lineage, right? Then ultimately we will find that Lord is there, right? Because He is Sarva Karana Karanam, He's cause of all causes, right? So if we keep on going in depth of our lineage, then ultimately at the end we will find Lord, right or wrong, correct? But your question is that he was directly connected to the Lord because he was, being given to Lord by Lord to King Anga as son. Then he should be having the godly qualities, right? Why he actually turned out to be a bad person? This is your question, right? Since he was, kind of blessings given to the King Anga. So that there are, uh, many reasons, as I spoke about. One of the reason is that he was connected to a bad maternal family, and then again there are karmic reactions are also there, right? But coming to your question that if someone is directly connected to the Lord, then how he can become so, cruel or like that, right? So if we think about Jaya and Vijaya, right? They were also directly connected to the Lord, weren't they? Right? They were seeing Lord every day, every time, right? Correct. But at the same time, they performed, certain activities, right? That actually ultimately lead to their fall down, right? From Vaikuntha Lok to Hiranyakashipu, and they took the form of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh and whatnot, right? We know that how they fall down from their position, right? So similarly, there is one instance in Srimad Bhagavatam where it is explained about the birth of Narkasura, right? So if we go in details of Narkasura, who was Narkasura? Narkasura, he was earlier, his name was Bhoma, right? And who is Bhoma? So when Lord actually appeared as Varahadeva, right, to save Mother Earth, right, and when he took out Mother Earth on his tusk, right, right, and when the tusk actually touches Mother Earth, right, so due to that touch, Mother Earth got impregnated, right, and as a result, Bhoma was born, right? So in this way he was directly related to Lord, right? Varahadeva, he was son of Varahadeva. The Bhoma was son of Varahadeva. Bhumi's son was Bhoma, and he actually uh, was directly related to the Lord. He was directly related to the Lord in terms of he was direct son, right? Here actually it was like blessings of the Lord. But here the Bhuma was directly related to the Lord, as he was son of Lord, right? And Bhumi Devi, right? And in due course of time, the Bhuma actually uh, got in association with Banasura, right? And because of that bad association, he turned out into Narakasura, right? And we know the rest of the story, that how actually he was killed by Lord Shri Krishna, right? So the crux is that it hardly matters that whether you are directly connected to the Lord or not, since we are all living entities, are part and parcel of the Lord, right? So we are also directly connected to the Lord, but the only thing is that we have forgotten our relationship, right? And we are performing as per our own whims and ideas, right? So when we act according to the Lord wishes, Lord's ideas, Lord's theory, we actually act as a good son, right? And when we are not acting according to the the ideas of Lord or for his happiness, then we are actually acting as a bad son, right? So it hardly matters whether you are directly related to the Lord in theory, or you are coming in a lineage where Lord has taken the birth, right? So you will see many uh, Yaduvanshis, Yadavas, right? Nowadays, right? They proclaim that they are from Krishna's lineage, right? And this is true in one sense, because they are descendants of Lord Krishna. But are they acting according to the whims and ideas of their own, or they are actually acting according to the directions of Lord, right? So we see that seldom actually that these Yadavas are acting according to the injunctions of Shastras or injunction of Lord Krishna, right? So it hardly matters that whether you are directly connected with Lord or not. Ultimately, it's Jivatma's desire that actually matters. And as we are part and parcel of the Lord, it is our duty to serve the whole, right? If we are doing that, in that way, we are actually helping the mission of the Lord. And what is the mission of the Lord? The mission of the Lord is that each and every, you know, soul or the living entity should go to home, back to Godhead. Does that answer your question, Gautam?
Yeah, yes, yes, Prabhuji, yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, thanks a lot. You and additionally, you explained about the Bhuma Sura. That was also very helpful. Irrespective of being the child of Mother Earth and Lord itself, but still, due to the association, he got spoiled, Prabhuji.
Yeah, due to the
Due to the
association.
association.
Yeah. So
Oh,
ultimately, even, I mean, association is a choice, right?
yeah, yeah.
Association, we always have a choice to choose between the, bad association and good association, right? So ultimately, it is our
Mhm.
act only, correct? So no
Yes,
one
yes.
can actually impose association on us until unless we are ready to accept that.
And regarding this King Vena, so like what I can understand is it was due to his maternal past this thing for the reason he had that qualities.
Correct.
And once they have that then normally we see some people also in material world also they are like very bad, like, so is it also because of their past parental this thing all, because otherwise how can we correct them, like, because this is very like we accidentally if they come to Krishna consciousness, well and fine, otherwise it's very I don't find any solution for what do you suggest, Prabhu?
Okay, so what you are saying is that, that there are people who are actually, in connection to certain bad things, or you are saying that they are coming from a bad family background. What is your question?
Yeah, because as King Vena is behaving like this because of his parental thing, because he is coming in the lineage of death personified, and mother was like that, and blah, blah, blah. And so should we understand that even in this material world, some people who are really very bad. So is it also like something related to their parental this thing?
See, I mean, this is what we need to understand, Prabhu, that this is not always, one template that we can fit everywhere. Okay. So this is the particular example of Veena where he was coming over bad lineage actually, where his maternal family was not good, right? But there are cases where both the families are good, but the still child is not good, right? Right. So Kashyap and Diti, right? Good example, right or wrong?
Yes, 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 Prabhu.
Correct.
Yes, yes. Correct.
So even the parents are good, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes it happens that it is ultimately, I mean, this is a combination of so many things. It's actually not entirely dependent upon one aspect of it, but there are certain things which are related to the living entity's own karma also, right? You cannot actually, because we are taking birth in a certain type of family, in a certain family background, in certain society, certain type of society. It is not just accidental, right? It is not because of, of bad parentage or anything else, right? Because our own karma actually, becomes so powerful that we actually take birth in a particular type of family, in a particular type of parentage we get, correct? So this is a combination of so many things. So we cannot actually fit, impose one template for all, right? So
Yeah,
here
yeah.
actually the cause is the maternal family, the bad maternal family, but ultimately it is living entity's own karma that actually forces him to take birth in a particular kind of family.
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I got you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Chandra
Krishna.
Pranam. Jai.
धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी. Thank you very much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. अमर पुराण
जय
श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्रील
जय
प्रभुपाद की जय. श्रील
जय
गुरुदेव की जय. समवेत
जय
गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. अनंत
जय
कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. निताय
जय
गौर नितानाथ प्रेमानंदे.
हरि
हरे
हरि बोल। Thank you, Prabhu. It
Thank
was a
you.
wonderful